Hello, I'm David.
Hi, I'm Julie.
So you can see we have the Kickstarter edition of Foundations of Rome, which is quite a large box.
Yes.
And I had to push these games back to be able to fit it on the shelf halfway. Luckily, there's nothing in it, otherwise it would probably fall
Probably
off.
would.
So when I saw this on Kickstarter, I was like, yeah, it seems very expensive to get basically a blinged out abstract strategy game.
Mm-hmm.
The object of this game is to get the most points, and you're placing buildings, and I'll go over that more in a moment here. But, you know, essentially it's just placing buildings like an abstract strategy game.
Yep.
But then we saw it at Dice Tower West here in Vegas. And I said to Julie, I don't think that's going to stay in stock. It looks really cool. We didn't even have to play it. I knew that it was going to be a good game. So you already know that we're going to give this a good review. But even then, you were not sure.
I was like, yeah, I don't know. I said, it looks really hard. And even the people playing it, and I said it out loud, and the people playing it were like, oh no, it's really easy. I'm like, I don't know. Well, and David's like, we're going to get this. We have to. I'm like, okay.
Well, I said, if you can handle Azul, which is a game we've played over 300 times.
And I do very well with Azul.
And
but this is just intimidating looking, seeing it, you know?
So luckily there's a store here in town that they got 120, they back Kickstarter. So I was able to get it post Kickstarter through the store. And if you want to see, you can check out, you can ask me if you like what store that is in the comments below if you like, because they do take orders online. Because this video is not about promoting that store, it's about the game. But if you do want to know, well, you can let us know in the comments below. So let's take a look at how the game is played.
Yeah.
And mind you, some pieces are going to be different here in this version. For instance, that's my understanding, the coins. In this version, you get the metal coins. Now, the playthrough that you can find, we play with 3 of the modules. Normally, you're not going to have a player rolls. Okay, we played with that module. We played with the objectives module, which are hidden objectives, or it could be public objectives. And we played with invocations, which are combined with the deed deck. So note that all these cards here and these cards they're not even in the basic game. But each player gets their own tray. And there are different types of buildings that you're going to place to score victory points. So there's 3 eras. This is a finished game. All this stuff would be in our tray, and you'll see here on a 2-player game, we're not playing with this edge. In a 3-player game, you would have this additional edge. But you see there are civic buildings. And civic buildings, you want them adjacent to other buildings to get victory points. You have commercial buildings, which gives you coins that you can get in the income phase. And it gives you victory points at the end of each era. And you have then... I just forgot the name of it. Those buildings are called,
Population?
Public buildings?
Oh.
I think they're public buildings, which gives you citizens. Because...
could be.
I just forgot the name of it. But anyways, the rulebook is well laid out. There are...
Here we go.
Did it even tell you the name of it? Maybe you can find out. Julie's going to look it up. All right, but the point is, you want to have these buildings that give you citizens.
Residential buildings?
Are you guessing, or does it say that?
It says 32
okay,
residential.
So, I couldn't remember that.
I wasn't guessing.
So, there's civic, commercial, and residential.
Yep.
So, commercial are this color. Residential are this yellow, like...
They say it's called beige.
Okay. Yeah, beige, olive, and gray.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have commercial, which gives you money and victory points. You have residential, which gives you citizens, and I'll explain that in a minute. And then you have civic buildings, which will want to be next to other buildings to give you victory points.
Right.
All right, so why do you want residential buildings? Because it gives you should see here which ones I own are in red and Julie's are in blue. So right here I have 6, 4, and then it adds up to a track here. Mind you, I had, even though I was at 20, because we were playing with the modules, I had +4 citizens. So if you were counting on camera here, it says, well, he's off by 4. It's because I had some cards that gave me that, okay? But in the basic version, you don't have those cards. So at the end of every era, you get a bonus. So whoever has the most citizens from the beige buildings gets the bonus points. So the first era, I got +4, but Julie beat me. We tied on that one, +7 points. And then Julie beat me on that one. She got +10 points because she had 22 citizens +10, so she got 32 points for that.
Didn't really matter though.
And then the player who's next, second place, gets the first place orders points minus the bonus. So Julie got 32, 22 plus 10 is 32, and I got 22. And then if there was a yellow player, say yellow was back here, yellow would get 20. However, there's one little rule you need to remember. If you don't have any citizens, you don't score the population tracker. This is where you keep track of your victory points, and we lapped it. So Julie doesn't think it was close, but I think it was closer than she does.
It is not that close.
Okay. But so anyways, at the end of every era, you get so much money based on here. And it does tell you right here, but you can look on the board. That's what's so cool about this game. It shows you how much money you'll get at the end of an era. So I had so many buildings at the end of era 3, which instead you would get victory points, but in era 1 and 2 you get money. I'd get 6 money. Julie would have gotten 3, right?
Money?
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, 3.
Yep.
So that's the first thing you do, and then you get victory points. Right here, I would have gotten 6. I would have gotten 10 victory points.
I would have gotten 3.
Gotten 3 points to it. Yeah,
There?
that one right there. Okay, so then you basically do your commercial buildings and you do your civic buildings. So this building right here, for instance, gives you 1 point. And if you look very carefully at this camera, can I get it in focus?
It's coming. There you go.
You get 1 point for every building nearby. And if you want to see the other things you can get points for, you get points for being next to citizens.
That card is so useful to me. I look at it all the time.
Points being next to commercial buildings, points being next to any building, points for being next to civic buildings, and then it just gives you straight up victory points.
But that's such a helpful card.
Yeah, it's a nice reference card. So anyway, Julie was here. She got 1, 2, 3, 4. So diagonal buildings don't count. So she would have gotten 4 points for that building. Here, she's next to a commercial building. It's 1 point for every commercial. She would have gotten 3 points for that. And then if I go over here, I get 1 point for every citizen. So that was 5 points for that. There was no citizens here and here. And then this was also another good one. 1 point for every 2 citizens. 6, 4, because this building's so long. 10, 16. I would have gotten 8 points for that.
Yeah.
So how are you placing these buildings? Well, you'll see that an area you'll have different face down stacks. Okay. We're going to start off with 6 buildings that you mark with this. So imagine all these buildings right here, and we start out with 6 of these. Eventually you're going to fill them in. But then you're going to acquire these deeds to get, actually put yours off to the side here.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I don't want to mix up your cards with mine.
Oh.
Just in case. For
Big
some
cooties.
reason. So you buy these deeds, so this would cost 2. And if I didn't own G4, where is G4 at?
I think we're over here. Way down here at the end.
Oh yeah, right here.
Yeah.
So G4 would have been here. Say that building wasn't here. I buy it for 2. I would spend 2 coins to get it. And then I put my marker there and I own that. And then eventually you can cover it up with buildings. So let's talk about the actions. It's really easy, the 3 actions that you have. You either take income, and it's a base 5. So I'll show you here on the card the income that you get. You either purchase a deed, which I showed you I would have spent 2 for that one, or I build or upgrade a building, which I'll explain in a minute, or you take income, which is 5 plus your commercial buildings. So at this point in the game, if I were to take income, I get that base 5 plus 6 because I have 2, 3, 6, which are shown here on the board. Here's my 2, here's my 3, and here's my 1. So 5 plus 6, I would take 11 income. Okay. So now to get it over here, and then I use it to buy the deeds. When you buy a deed, you can buy anywhere you want on here. With that much money, I could buy B7. I can go all the way over there. But this round, I say I take income, Julie goes, and then I use that money and I buy a deed. To say I buy this one, I spend the 10. It goes into my deed pile. I put my marker on there, and then let's say I bought B7 over here. Okay, and it cost me 4. It slides down, and you reveal another one. Now, in terms of buildings, let's say I have these two right here. Okay. I can take an action, put a 1 there. On another turn, it doesn't have to be the same building. I can make it this building and make it a 2. Eventually, if I get A1, I can upgrade it to a 3, a 3-size building. But you can't downsize. So that's something to remember that you can't do. So once you go up, you can't go back down. And this is the one I had there.
Yeah.
So very simple actions. Take a deed, put your marker there, place a building, or upgrade a building, or take income. And the game ends when all cards have been bought in every era. So at the end of era 1, you buy up all the cards. One rule to remember that we forgot is that everybody gets one more round when the last card is bought. And then you go to era 2 and you reveal those.
You do the same thing.
Okay. And you score. The only difference about scoring in era 3 is that you don't get your money. Instead, that money becomes victory points. So you get so I would get instead of 6 money, I get 6 victory points. And then I get my victory points for the ones that I had uncovered. So that's 10. So I'd get 6 plus 10, 16 points for my commercial buildings. And then you do your civic buildings. Oh, and if you have, I forgot to mention, if you do have a marker that was not used at the very end, so Julie didn't have that, that would be 1 point. So that's the only thing that happens in era 3. If you have a marker that hasn't been used and put a building there, you get 1 point for it. So, whoever has the most victory points wins. So it's a quick little overview there.
So you guys know how we do our reviews, that I go first, then David goes, and we tell you guys what our pluses, minuses, or likes or dislikes, and our neutrals are. And then after we've shared those interesting tidbits, we then tell you how we would score it on the BGG scale and let you know what we thought of it.
Right. Now remind you that when I was showing you the things here, in the basic game you don't play with the objectives, the player roles, or the invocation cards. It's just basically...
But everything else you do play with.
Yeah, deeds,
Yep. Money.
and buildings. And we didn't play with the module here, which is the monuments module. Okay. And you can't play with the trading and stealing. We haven't even punched it out because it's a 4 or 5 player module you need to have to play with that one. And here's the cards for the monuments. All right, so let's take a look at what Julie has to say about the game.
Okay, here we go, guys. Well, I thought this was a really cool construction game, and that might not be the right way to put it, but to me, that's what I thought of it as. You're constructing these buildings, and it was really fun. And the different, what are they called, sweetie? The different things that go with it?
Modules?
Modules?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's why I didn't put it in there because I couldn't remember what it was called, so I did it in Julie speak. And so lots of different ways to play adds a lot of variety, which is really nice. So you can mix it up, and you could play this, every night if you wanted to, and play a different module, and it play differently every time. Yeah. It didn't take long at all for us. Well, okay, excuse me, let me put it this way. It didn't take him long to read the rules and teach me, but I caught on very quickly. And the play with 2 people is really fast. It's like, 40 minutes or something. And I think the pieces are really cool. They're fun to touch and hold on to. The boards I love because the little guys just sit right inside of the boards.
Yeah, I'll show that. But this is quality plastic.
Oh,
here.
it's so
They could have did
nice.
vacuum molds.
I don't know what that would be like.
It's cheap, thin plastic that was used for Fireball Island, for instance. You know how that little plastic, you just bump the board and they move?
Yes, yes.
Okay, they could have did that and made it, this is solid plastic that people are painting.
Yeah, I love it. And I love how the board, it's
the
cut
tray.
out, or the tray, so you everything has its special place, and you can always, which I have to do, I always look and match the little thing on the building to what it goes to on my board, so I know exactly where to put it, because if you don't do it the right way, the little lid that goes on top won't go on top, and then you have to figure it all out and get it going again. But I thought this was such a really fun game, and for being so nervous in the very beginning, I'm really glad I did it.
Well, what's really cool about the trays is that it helps you do the points, because if you're going around on the board here and you're having to go like this, you can miss things.
Oh, heck yeah.
Whereas right here, you just look right here.
That's what I
here.
do, is I just look here.
Now, obviously, the civic buildings, you have to look
Right.
where they are.
But this other stuff, you don't. It's easy.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It's the civic buildings that you have to look here, because
Yeah.
you got to see what's adjacent. All right, so...
What did you say, sweetie?
So like I said, though, I wanted to point that out, that, I mean, this is really hard plastic. You can't even bend it. So if you go right here...
No way.
I mean, you could if you're really strong like me, but...
I couldn't. But it could hurt someone if you threw it at somebody.
Oh, yeah.
It would really cause damage to somebody.
But there's people painting these, and there's excellent detail on here.
Wow. I'd be too nervous. My hands shake too much to paint anything that little.
Okay, so let's see what I had to say.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see her.
Okay, let me... there we go. There's the right button.
Wow, okay.
Okay, so it's a sweet spot, easy to learn, teach with short playing time. We play with all the modules. Well, 3 of the modules. And when you take off the time it took to explain it and show cards on camera, it was about a 40-minute game, maybe 35 minutes. And that's great. That's the sweet spot for us on length.
Definitely.
Especially with the amount of decisions you can make. Yeah, this is really good. So it's underrated strategic option. Some people poo-poo. They say, there's not that much strategy here. But if you watch the playthrough, I'm buying deeds up to deny Julie. There was a time when I said, like, oh, I should have bought that because she already had these 3. And when she got F5, and this is what it would have looked like. Okay. And I'm going, oh, I should get I didn't buy F5 in time, because to place a building like this is more valuable than an L-shaped building.
And that's what helped me with my population.
Right, and then sometimes you're buying things up because you want, like for instance, I remember I bought this up here, C3, because I wanted to be able to place something in between all these buildings.
And take advantage of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, you might be wondering what's these right here. These are for the wonders. In case somebody's wondering what that is.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
It sits
on top.
right here. Would go like right in the middle right here.
That way you know whose is whose.
Yeah, that way it would show you that I would own the Coliseum or Julie own the Coliseum. So we keep those covered up when you're not playing with the Monuments Edition. But anyways, back to the review. Okay, so cool modules add replayability, and they're not so complicated that you just don't want to deal with them. See, some games you get expansions, and you're like, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to. You got to sort the cards and the setup, and then there's like little fiddly rules. This does not do that. It's just the right amount of complexity that when you add the module in, it's like, yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
It's easy to do.
True.
So when I say Grail game pieces,
I don't know what that meant.
this means that this is a game, and some people say, well, you can just play with not plastic pieces, with cardboard pieces. Well, why don't you play chess with cardboard pieces?
Well, I'm sure some people do.
But the point is, they don't, because they like picking up the pieces and moving them on the board.
Yeah.
So
I do.
if chess could be played with cardboard pieces, right, or even just with you can even make your own chessboard on paper, then why don't you do that? Why do you buy a good chess set? And why do people spend $200-300 on a nice chess set? Because the aesthetics of it and picking up the piece, especially marble chess pieces, they like that. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's what this game is like here. It's a Grail game in the sense that if they don't reprint this, this is going to go up in value. And then even then, if they reprint this, I doubt they're going to be able to sell it for the cost that they made it for with the way things are going right now.
Yeah.
Unless so many more people buy it and they can get the cost
Big
down.
discount, yeah.
But like I said, I'm surprised they didn't try to do vacuum molding, because they probably could have made this a $50 game if it was cheap little,
I'm glad they didn't.
thin little plastic pieces. Then it would be moving around everywhere.
Yeah.
But this is stout.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I'm really glad they made them this way.
yeah, very high quality. So if they don't reprint this, it's definitely a Grail game.
Yeah.
Something that you would want to own and have in your collection. All right, so minuses, there's some rules errata, and the modules needed more elaboration. So just even at this time, 27%, 61 comments out of 223 have to do with rules questions in BGG. Now, a game like Azul, very simple, has about 20% comments on on the rules. Okay, this game has only been out about a month,
That's it?
6 weeks.
Wow.
And it already has 27% because it doesn't go into enough elaboration on the modules and certain cards and how they interact. In fact, when we played the cooperative mode, I had to look it up.
You did.
And luckily, I looked it up because it took the designer, and they said, it's been 18 days, it hasn't responded. Luckily, when I looked it up, the designer responded. People are busy. I get that.
Of course,
but
yeah.
there's some things that the designer had to elaborate on that are not in the rule book.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. And then there's some errata. So I'm going to tell you what the 2 errata are that might confuse some people. And the reason why I say it's a minus and not a neutral, because a game this simple shouldn't have these problems. All right? Okay, so the first thing is, one of these buildings shows, I think it's, let's see which one is it, shows a marker in the incorrect spot. Yeah, right here. See right here? Mm-hmm. It shows that's where you put it. It actually shows in the picture right here. Mm. Okay, minor. But it is still errata. And then on this picture here, if you put them away, take a look. It shows it facing down this way, but it needs to be facing this way. Mm. Okay, so minor little things. But the biggest thing is, if you're going to add modules, add more detail and do an FAQ. Okay, because people are asking a lot of questions. Now, a game like Cascadia, which is another abstract game with the animals, remember you're placing them in patterns? In I think it's in Oregon, right? Near Oregon?
I don't remember. I think so.
Almost 50% of their form in BDG are rules questions.
Really?
Because there's that much ambiguity in their rule book.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. So Zoll is about 20% at this time. That game's been out for 5 years. Cascadia came out last year. This came out last 6 years. So sometimes games that you think are so simple and that, it's a simple rule book, but they don't include enough detail to answer all the possible interactions that can happen. So that's why it's a minus, because they could have done that. So they should at least upload an FAQ.
Sure.
Okay, and maybe they will sooner than later here. But I guess they've been busy with fulfillment.
Now let's see how we both scored it on the BGG scale.
Okay.
Oh, look at you,
Yes.
Mr. 9.
I don't give 9s often.
No, you don't.
But we've played this now 8 times since we got it last Tuesday.
Yeah.
And it's less than a week from now we played it that many times, despite the other videos we've done and other things we've been doing.
Yeah.
It could possibly go up to a 10.
It'll probably go up to a 9 for me.
The reason why I can't rate it a 10 yet, because we haven't played with more players.
Right.
So we don't know if this holds up to 3, 4, or 5 players yet. And if it does, it will be a 10 for me.
Yeah, I picked 8 because I really do enjoy playing it, and I would suggest it. When we played the monuments, that was very confusing to me, and I was like, it was just too much. And I also, when we play cooperatively, there's a thing you have to do in that, and that gets kind of hard for me to remember what I'm supposed to do. So
There's a lot of little steps for
it's
you.
just too many steps.
But 8's a good.
8's a really good, yeah. And other than that, though, I mean, I love the game, and I would probably, I would suggest it, and it may go up to a 9 for me eventually. But right now, those are the few things that are holding me back.
Well, this may be a 10, but we need to play it with more players. Now, another thing about the rules, I forgot to mention this.
Oh yeah.
When you play with the monuments, you have all these cards, and there's all this text. So that when you're using the monuments, you have to figure out what's the special rule to bring the monument in. This is why it's kind of a little fiddly. And I'm looking at it, and I was looking at Julia, I said, somebody had to have made a cheat sheet. Because if you lay out all these cards, I can't commit all these to memory the first time you're playing, so it would slow it down too much. So luckily, whoever did this did put out a cheat sheet. So that's one thing they should have had in this edition. In fact, you could have made it on a little card right here. Maybe the text might be too small. But look, it even shows you the size of it, because it matters.
That helps a lot.
When you have to upgrade the building,
Yep.
or if you have enough lots to build it. So this is another thing that why I gave a minus in the rule book, is that they should have included references for this.
Yeah.
So monuments is great
Oh, it is.
if you can deal with the complexity of remembering all the ways you can use the building. So this is going to favor experienced players and people who have really good short-term and working memory, which means Julie,
Not me.
Not you. And that's why we probably won't be playing it much, because I'll be able to make the connections quicker than Julie and be able to take advantage of the monuments, where Julie will have a hard time keeping all that balanced.
It's true. Yeah. And that's why even though it's cooperative, and I love cooperative games, it was still hard for me
Well, you're switching games now. We're talking about monuments.
to do. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See?
It's okay. But anyway, we got lucky. If you're watching this right now, you can ask me which retailer it is that you can still get it from, but you just look online. Some people still have it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not what this video is about. We're not here to promote retailers. We're here to talk about the game. And so, again, we feel lucky that we have this.
Yes, very much. I'm really glad David decided to get this for us, and I'm glad I gave it a shot, and I really do love it and highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Good job, Arcane Wonders.
Yes, thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to us. We appreciate all the support. See you guys later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.